Hey guys, Glendros here. So this is a rarity. I'm actually recording two videos tonight, which that hasn't happened in a long time. There's several reasons for this. The main reason is that we have two hurricanes that are both headed for the Gulf at the same time. So even if we don't get a direct hit, the weather is likely going to be a big, giant mess for the next, I think it's Sunday, Monday. And it was important that I record this for, in both cases, because both songs are, technically speaking, being released either today or tomorrow, depending on how you look at it. So the first song that we're going to do, which is this reaction, is Faster Than Light from Unleash the Archers. It's off the brand new album Abyss, and Abyss came out yesterday. So I listened to the first 6 songs, skipped Faster Than Light because I knew I wanted to do a reaction to Faster Than Light. I've heard that that the song is crazy and all this stuff, so I was like, definitely want to do that one, and then listen to the remaining songs. So I kind of know the story. I think honestly, Faster Than Light must somewhat stand alone in terms of the story because there really isn't a gap in the story, So the other song that I'm going to be reacting to, which will be the second video, is going to be something I've never done before. It's going to be a premiere video. My friends at Gershok are releasing a single for their reimagining of Saint Anger. So the Metallica song. The release for that is set for 3 p.m. tomorrow, so I'm going to set my premiere for 5 p.m. Just to kind of give them a little bit of a cushion, so so I don't pull views away from their premiere of their own video. So they were nice enough to give this to me so I could do a reaction and have it out right at release. So that's really cool. I mean, X is just he's just an awesome guy, man. So really hope all the best for them. Right now, much like Florida's having to deal with crazy shit from hurricanes, potentially. California is dealing with some really crazy shit from wildfires. So if you're the praying sort, which I'm not, just kind of keep the people from California in thoughts. I got a lot of friends out there, including the guys from Gershok. So hopefully things get better and not worse. So with that said, let's jump into this review for Faster Than Light. So like I said, I haven't heard this song. This one is a completely cold reaction. Both videos I'm shooting tonight are completely cold reactions, which is not something I normally do, actually. I tend to do breakdowns because I like to get more into the nuts and bolts musical aspect of the songs. And it's a little tougher to do that on basically a cold review of a song, hearing it for the first time. But so I'm probably going to miss a lot of stuff on Faster Than Light because from the couple of things I've heard, it's supposed to be pretty crazy. So I'm going to try and pick out as much interesting stuff as I can. Different nods to certain bands and things like that. We'll kind of go from there, because one thing I've noticed, particularly with this album, is there were some very, I think, intentional nods to other bands. Like, I think probably the biggest one for me was I actually, when I first heard Legacy, which is I think track 3 or 4, track let's see, this. So I think it's track 4. When I first heard Legacy, I thought the first thing that popped into my head after the sort of weird poppy intro was that it was a sort of an homage to like sort of post black metal or like black gaze, like Alcest and stuff like that. But somebody else actually pointed out, someone on the Alicia Archer's Discord pointed out that it was actually very much reminiscent of Devin Townsend, which definitely for sure that just massive wall of sound, but in not sustained. It's broken up, and that was. That track is fantastic and totally different. And then one of the things that I really like about this this album, just as a whole, is that it takes a lot of risks. It's not they could have just done, like Iron Maiden does with every album. Like they put out a fantastic, Iron Maiden album. They could have just put out a Unleash the Archers album, sticking to sort of more or less the same formula, that they used on Apex, and to some extent on Time Stands Still. But they really chose to sort of push the boundaries on quite a few songs, and it really sounds like a very different record, and much more, in my opinion, a much more mature record. Because it really shows an evolution, and it made me kind of think of bands like Pain of Salvation that have completely evolved their sound. It wasn't quite so drastic as that, like where you had suddenly Pain of Salvation sounded like a completely different band. It wasn't that abrupt, but there were some more subtle evolutions that I thought were really cool. I'm not necessarily expecting that with this song, though. With that said, let's jump into this. So for people who haven't seen my reactions before, I always I mute the microphone, and just so the track is heard just as the track, and then I'll discuss it at length afterwards. So sometimes I make notes. I probably won't do that on this one because it's a reaction, like a cold reaction. I've not heard it before, so I probably won't make any notes. I might. It depends. A lot of times, if I get really into the song, it's the notes thing just kind of goes by the wayside. But especially if there are things that jump out in my head as like I want to make sure I touch on this. I might pull up Notepad and make a note of it. So, all right, and just like I was worried about, like this was like a super long intro. So, all right, let's do this. This is Faster Than Light. Jeez. Yeah, so that one, I remember when, I think it was on Andrew's stream, they were talking about the album, and I think Andrew had mentioned that this is like one where like the Rocksmith community was just going to be like, what? Yeah, this is this song is crazy. So the first thing right off the bat, the intro, before Brittany comes in, and also the outro too. Very, very reminiscent of like, well, there were two things that popped into my head. The first was probably because of the name Stradivarius, Speed of Light, which is a freaking fantastic like speed metal, power metal song. Very short. I think it's like 2 minutes and like some seconds long, but it's just I mean, it does not stop. This song, however, does actually pedal down a little bit in certain spots, which is probably a good thing, especially if you're going to like play this. If they're going to play this song live, they did not play this on the concert release show, and I would tell people to check it out, but I think it's not going to be available by the time this comes out, unfortunately. Great concert. By the way, they're fantastic live, and I think for me, the best song on that concert, and also the best song I think on the record is "The Wind That Shapes the Land," which I think may be their best song. Honestly, like out of all the songs I've heard from them, I think it's probably the best one. So that was terrific, and it was played fantastically live, sung fantastically live. Honestly, I think if they're going to release a concert style like a live video, like bands will sometimes do, that would be the one I would pick. Like because. And this was a pretty professional recording with multiple cameras, fretboard cameras, which I'm glad they did the fretboard cameras because I love that. Like, one of my favorite Rocksmith streamers, French Stein, used to have a fretboard camera, but I think it's the little device that he uses to hold on the top of the headstock is broken, so he hasn't had it in a while. But I love being able to get a sort of top-down view of what's going on in terms of the guitar playing. So, but anyways, that's just sort of a me thing. So that intro riff really reminded me a lot of Stradivarius. The other thing that came to mind, particularly just that whole intro section, just all of it, reminded me of Rhapsody. I thought of On the Way to Ainur, I think was the song I was thinking of. The tremolo picking was what really sort of popped out as being something that reminded me of Rhapsody. I love it. I love that, and I'm just a sucker for tremolo picking whenever it's used. Whether it's the sort of power metal style tremolo picking that you see in bands like Dragon Force, Rhapsody, etc. Or whether it's in black metal, where it's literally just tremolo picking and nothing else, the same note off the just over and over again. But that's I just love the sound of it. So it was really cool. That intro part was just, it grabs you right away, and I think this is the closest I think Brittany's sounded to the way she sounded vocally on Time Stands Still. I noticed with Apex and with most of Abyss, and I think it's a conscious choice probably to probably reduce the strain on her voice. There's less like ultra high stuff. there's definitely some, particularly there's a couple spots on this most recent album that I think actually are higher than anything she did even on Time Stands Still. But I think generally speaking, it's a more relaxed vocal style. There's a lot of stuff that's high, but it's not like ultra high, you know. This song really had a lot of that feel of the vocals from Time Stands Still, but with the fantastic production that they've had on the last two albums. And I think, personally speaking, I thought Apex had great production. Abyss has even better production, I think. Just from only hearing the album like basically once through now, essentially, it seems like it's just really well balanced. Like they really hit the sweet spot in terms of the mix between guitars, other instruments, and her voice. What I often felt was the problem with Time Stands Still was her vocals were mixed too high and the guitars were mixed too low. So I think they've really gotten that like perfect. Honestly, that was only with Time Stands Still, because when I go back and listen to like General of the Dark Army, which was the first song I ever heard from them, I don't think it has that same problem. And I mean, I love Time Stands Still, like, you know, Tonight We Ride. And actually, there's a couple songs on that album that are kind of deep cuts that I would love to hear them play live sometimes, just because they're just different. But like, I think it's I believe it's Crypt. It's the one that has that crazy death metal style. I think it's Crypt. Let me just look here. Yeah, Crypt has that crazy, like, sort of almost death metal style opening, and I just always thought that was a really cool song. It has a crazy solo section too. So I like when they kind of do different stuff. But this song, you know, despite the beginning and middle, the solo, like that extended solo section, and then the end sounding like much more of a speed metal, speed power sort of hybrid, I feel like most of this sort of fit more with the overall sound of Unleash the Archers. It didn't feel like the whole song was like, you know, them trying to rip off Dragon Force or something like that. Some people had said that this was the Dragon Force track, and I get that a little bit because it's crazy, but it really doesn't honestly sound that much like Dragon Force. Like, I think Rhapsody is a more like a more direct comparison, but the thing that really carries the song and carries most Unleash the Archer song really are the big, massive choruses, right? And during the chorus section, it slows down considerably. I mean, it's still a fast-paced song all the way through, but it definitely does cycle down quite a bit for the chorus. And you know, it's just sort of those big, sort of open, you know, notes and big, anthemic choruses that they always kind of do, which, you know, are so great, and Brittany is so great at. And I don't think there was any, I don't think any Grant on this track. I don't recall hearing Grant on this one. I always miss Grant when he's not there, and I mean that from a vocal standpoint. Because the guitar is always there, but like I always like the counterpoint of his voice and Brittany's, and I think it's different than pretty much any other. There's a lot of bands that do this sort of what they call Beauty and the Beast style vocal presentation, but I think with Grant's almost edges on black metal style, like shrieks, which is really cool for me, anyways, because I love black metal so much. But so I always really dug his, the songs where he's there with her, singing off of her. Afterlife, which is the last track on the album, Has some really great call and response sections between the two of them, which I really like. It looks like they closed their live show with it, and I'm guessing they're probably going to close their probably their tour when they tour in the summer, hopefully. Next summer, I mean. When they tour, that seems like a logical one to close with, because it's got kind of there's actually some symphonic elements to it, which is unusual. I mean, like, again, they're experimenting a little bit. But kind of getting back to this one, I did want to touch on before I get into look at the lyrics. The one thing I wanted to touch on was the ridiculous, like, solo section. I mean, what the fuck was that? And if you watch the video, you'll see me stop for a second because I'm trying to figure out what the fuck he's doing. It's like I think it's a sweep tap, but I'm not sure. I really would like to see the tab for this one. And I know Andrew said that hopefully we'll be getting some stuff for that soon. And so, like, the Rocksmith community probably will do their thing. But I am really interested to see how that repeating section is played, because it's really, really crazy sounding, and it sounds extraordinarily difficult to play. Plus the speed at which it's played, which, I mean, that's always the killer. Like, I mean, I can play some, like, 3-string sweeps with no problem, as long as they're not, like, ultra fast. But, like, once you get beyond a certain speed level and then start adding 4, 5, 6-string sweeps, it's just, I can't. Maybe when I was younger I might have been able to do something like that, but, like, I kind of quit playing guitar for like 12 years or something like that, and you can't make up that lost time. And if there's any one piece of advice I could give to anybody who plays an instrument, don't stop playing it. I mean, I'm not saying you need to make a career out of it, or even attempt to make a career out of it, but don't stop playing. It's a huge regret that I have that I stopped, because I feel like I could have been, I could have just been a lot better than I am, and probably would have made the effort to figure out, trying to get the damn Rocksmith to work on Twitch, which I could never figure out. I tried, and I had a couple people try and help me. I could never get the damn thing to output sound properly. It probably has something to do with my sound card, and I know Rocksmith requires audio exclusivity, and it's a whole mess. But I would just really be interested to see exactly what's going on in that section. I can't even begin to try and break that down. And then there's actually a really good transition back into the vocal part of the song. Some really good driving riffs in that one too. That really kind of get your head moving, And then they had the tag at the end being pretty much a mirror of the intro part, and then this crazy like super speed section at the end, which just kind of like a look at us. So that was kind of cool. Yeah, I'm really interested to see the tab for this one. Really interested. Fantastic song, musically speaking. Just terrific stuff. Let me take a look at the vocals, or not the vocals, the lyrics. I know that they're posted here somewhere. Yeah, okay. So, let me just read the lyrics. Once more we're flying fast as light, dark matter passing in the night, pursued by a force we cannot run as we hurtle towards a dying sun. We maneuver through the remnants of a moon on the solar winds of supernovas that there is not a place to hide. The matriarch is close behind. It's plain to see she's coming for us all. Fly till the stars collide, till we live or die, faster than ever before. Fly to forget your past, to move on at last. Fly on and forevermore, faster than light. Still further and beyond we race, into the outer reaches of space, through systems I will never know, and yet still have nowhere to go. So we have nowhere to go. As the planets shadow right before my eyes, there's no turning back. She's already there. Stare into infinity and know the time is short for me. I can't deny she's coming for us all. Fly to the stars collide till we live or die, faster than ever before. Fly to forget your past, to move on at last, blah, blah, blah. Why do I not turn and fight and see if I somehow might set myself free? Why do I feel so alive, as if suddenly I somehow find I'm where I should be? Finally, I feel I can face up to all that I've done and become something more. Fly to the stars collide till live or die. Fly to forget my past, to move on at last. Forevermore, faster than light. Interesting. I'm guessing this is from the perspective of either from the perspective of the immortal, or the perspective of the immortal's son. Or not the immortal son, the other son. I think this is from the perspective of the immortal, because it seems like, let's see, never die. He's trying to outrun the matriarch, and at the end of Soulbound, which is the song before this, she regains control of all of her sons except for the one son from Earth and Ashes, the good son, so to speak, who has a son of his own, I guess. And yeah, I don't know. I'm guessing that's what's going on here. So it's almost like the song is, and it feels the pace of it is meant to mirror sort of the description. It's very evocative of that. You're like literally speeding through planets and solar systems, at ridiculous speeds, and trying to outrun. I get, it says the matriarch, but I'm assuming it's really more the matriarch and the sons that she has under her sway. So I'm guessing that's kind of what's going on here. Fly to forgive my past. I'm guessing, yeah. So I think this has got to be the immortal, because I'm guessing that the immortal probably feels guilt for having originally aided. Although it couldn't be helped, but I think that the immortal feels guilt for having had a hand in the matriarch's rise to power. So that's kind of my take on that. Let's see. Yeah. Why do the stars collide? Some of the lyrical imagery in this is really cool. If you're like a sci-fi planetary nerd like me, I'm like fascinated by things like black holes and supernovas and things like that. Like the imagery is really cool for that. There is not a place to hide. The matriarch is close behind. It's plain to see she's coming for us all. Interesting. So yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's sort of like the chase scene in a movie, if like a good example is like if anyone's seen the movie Ronin, there's a famous chase scene in that movie. Like it's pretty extended. It's like it's brilliantly filmed. Just crazy chase scene. And I feel like this song is kind of like that, where, it's literally just a chase. And I mean, there's story, but it's sort of trying to get from point A to point B. There's not like a this doesn't really push the narrative forward so much as it establishes what's coming next, right? So I feel like that's kind of what's going on with this song. And let's see, what's next on this in the track listing? The Wind That Shapes the Land. You know, it's interesting because there's a part in the lyrics where the Immortal seems to accept, if it is indeed the Immortal, their own power, and says, you know, why do I feel so alive as if I suddenly I somehow find I'm where I should be. Finally I can face up to all that I've done and become something more. I think that is the sort of what the lead into The Wind That Shapes the Land. You know, and honestly, I don't want to do a reaction to Wind That Shapes the Land. I think everyone needs to just listen to that song because it's a freaking amazing song. But yeah, I mean, thematically, it seems to sort of lead into what I think is, you know, in many ways, I think that is the climax of the album. Which, you know, it doesn't necessarily mean like, you know, I think a lot of people think the climax of the album is the conclusion, which I think oftentimes, you know, and was the case with Apex as well. Your last song is kind of like a denouement. You know, it's the end. You know, the sort of the kind of the postscript, you know, to the album. I think like a really good example of that is if you another great sci-fi themed example is Vector's you know, well, last album probably, Terminal Redux. You know, it's got much like this, a very tight story, and Collapse is the climax of the album. Even though it's a crazy song in that it's, for most of the song, not even a thrash song. You know, from a band that plays extremely aggressive, you know, progressive black and thrash, it's not really even a thrash song for most of it. And then Recharging the Void, which is the massive epic conclusion to the album, like one of my favorite songs like ever, is like basically a postscript. You know, it's sort of a realization and understanding of basically how he fucked up. You know, and that's kind of like, you know, in this song, I think the Immortal is both acknowledging that he made mistakes, but also realizing that he has the power to change it. So, and I think that's kind of what leads into Wind That Shapes the Land. So, pretty neat, honestly. Really cool song. Like I said, if you guys enjoyed the reaction, I'm going to have another one that's going to be set as a premiere for tomorrow for Gershak's cover of Saint Anger, which I'm going to tell you right now, I hate Saint Anger. not this cover of the song. Obviously, I've not heard it, but I hate that song. I hate that album. I think it's not the worst album Metallica's ever put out, because Lulu is worse, but it's just a disaster of an album. It really is. I really hate it. It's the production. I am very much a stickler for production stuff. It's why I have a lot of problems with some of the more traditional black metal bands. You know, some of the bands that are kind of like looked at as kind of like the torchbearers for black metal, you know. I don't really like that much because their production is just so god-awful. Like, I mean, Burzum, I can't stand Burzum. I mean, sure, it's because, you know, because Varg is terrible, but also it's because it just sounds awful, you know, from a production standpoint. And I get, particularly for black metal, that's kind of the point, to some extent. You know, having like ultra raw production is kind of the point. Doesn't make it any easier for me to deal with, though. And Saint Anger, they were trying to replicate something like that, I think, and you know, it just was the drum sound that just haunts my dreams. I'm pretty sure that that's not going to be the case with Gershak's cover, so I'm excited to hear what they've done with it. He calls it a reimagining, so I think they're going to do something different with it. So I'm excited to see what that is. So if you like this, join me tomorrow for that, and we'll check it out and see exactly what it is. And that's it for me. Stay metal, guys. Later.